Welcome everyone to our April 2026 Scrivener webinar series. I'm Oliver Evanson, your host, and today we'll be exploring my ultimate quick start guide for Scrivener 3 on macOS. So, what is Scrivener anyway, and who should use it? Scrivener is aimed at writers of all stripes. I'm talking novelists, journalists, academics, screenwriters, playwrights, basically anyone who needs to structure a long piece of text. Now you can visualize the documents as sheets in a ring binder, each with a virtual index card clipped to it. And as you move each document or folder around in the binder, the index card comes too. So it is a ring binder, it's a scrapbook, it's a corkboard, it's an outliner, and it's a text editor that's tailor-made for growing a manuscript. Now, what I really love about Scrivener is that it's designed with a non-linear process in mind. Its organizational features allow you to easily keep track of your ideas, research, and writing all in one place. So no more juggling around multiple documents or trying to remember where you wrote that one scene. Now, the most common concern I hear from new users is this. There are too many tools in Scrivener. Where do I even begin? And I get it. It can be a lot to take in. But I do have some good news. An abundance of tools doesn't mean that Scrivener needs to be complicated. In fact, you don't need to master everything about Scrivener to be successful. Many features are only there if you need them, and to be honest, you're really unlikely to use them all. What I can assure you is that over time, you'll learn to add to the basics and bring in the extra tools that really suit your particular writing style. Well, now that we have a solid grasp of what Scrivener is and who it's for, it's time to dive right into the training with my 2 quick steps into Scrivener. Okay, so step 1, create your first project. So getting started in Scrivener is actually really easy. It all starts with your first project. You can choose a template tailored to your needs or simply create your own. Now today you may notice several project templates in my new project window that aren't in yours. These are my custom templates I've crafted over many years. And while we won't cover that specific tool in Scrivener today, trust me, as you explore Scrivener's features, you'll unlock more powerful ways to make it your own. Now, after we've created our first project, I imagine you're going to have writing or research you want to bring into Scrivener. Don't worry, this is where most people get hung up. It's a lot easier than you think. In fact, if you have stuff to bring in, that's actually my favorite way to start in Scrivener because you can easily drag and drop your documents right into Scrivener and you're ready to go. And you can use this time to organize, to move things around, to get familiar with what Scrivener is and how it works. So let me share my screen and let's get this started. We're going to come here, right here in my doc. I have Scrivener already installed, ready to go. We're going to click that and it's going to open up Scrivener. Now, Scrivener is going to open up to this new project window. Now you can see I've set mine to default to my specific templates. These are the templates I've made for myself, but you're probably going to see this getting started section right here. We're going to have an interactive tutorial, which is a great way to interact with Scrivener and to get to know it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go all the way down here to our fiction option, and we're going to select one of these to get started. Okay. Now it doesn't matter whether you're a fiction writer, nonfiction writer, script writing, whatever. You just need to come in here and find a template that matches most what you are trying to do. Okay. Now, I'm a novelist, so I'm going to come here and choose a novel. Here, you can do novel with parts. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You can easily set up parts in this novel too if you decide you want parts later. So don't get paralyzed by this decision. Just choose one and get started. So we're going to click create here in the bottom right corner here. Okay. Boom. Okay. There we go. And now comes the moment of truth. We need to give our project a name. Now, I always encourage you to give very descriptive names. It does not need to be a perfect name. It does not need to be the final name. Something I've been taken to is I've been doing this thing called like project. I'm thinking Hail Mary now because I've been seeing ads about that movie. I've been putting project in front of everything and then adding a word like that after the fact. And then I just go ahead and use that as my working title. And the next thing we need to consider is where we're going to save this project. Now, typically, I save my projects in Dropbox, Apps, Scrivener, okay? I do this because I want to be able to access my Scrivener projects on my PC, other MacBooks, other Macs, other iPads, iPhone, you name it, any other device, I'm going to want to save it there if I want to have access to it on those other devices. Now, you do not have to use Scrivener on all other devices, but you may want to if you want to share it across devices. But it's perfectly acceptable just to go to your Documents folder, create a Scrivener Projects folder, like that there, and then go ahead and save it in that folder. The key thing to remember here is you want to save it in a place you can easily find. So I don't care if it's documents, I don't care if it's even your desktop. Just come here, let's go to our desktop, create a new folder, and call it Scrivener Projects. Okay? Create it, and then make sure you know where that folder is and use it. Okay. Now, personally, I like to keep my desktop clear, so I don't usually keep it there. But for today, let's roll with me here. We're going to go ahead and just create it right there. Boom. There we go. First project created, and we're done. That's it. Once you know how to create a project, it's actually really easy to get started. Now, in this project, this template here, you see it has a little novel format, tells you about this template. You can read through this. It is very informational, but I'll be honest, you can skip it because you can always come back and read it later if you want to. Typically, I usually just move it to trash and I don't think about it. Don't even worry about it. I just leave it there and I move on. And if I wanted to, I could just come in here to this scene, click inside and start writing. And I would be using Scrivener and I would be on my way. That'd be all I really needed to know to get started. I'd see someone's asking, can you use iCloud too? So you can use iCloud for backup. So if you back up a project, you zip it, you archive it, you can certainly save your projects there. Now, the reason we don't recommend iCloud for saving your project is simply because the sync methodology that iCloud uses can sometimes corrupt or delete information from your Scrivener project. So currently, we do not recommend iCloud. That's why we recommend Dropbox. And you can argue with me all day that Dropbox maybe isn't the best cloud sync service, and it probably isn't for everything, but it is the best for Scrivener. The sync methodology works really well with Scrivener projects, and right now, that's what we recommend. And to be fair, we are looking at future solutions and different ways we can approach this problem. And stay tuned. For those of you who are interested in iCloud Sync, we have a Scrivener-like app coming in the future that will support iCloud Sync. So look forward to the future. Okay, let's talk about importing your writing. How do I, once I've got this set up, I've got my chapter and it's in here, I've got a manuscript folder. I like to clean up my binder here so it doesn't look so cluttered, if that makes sense. And that's why typically I create my own templates because I can set up my structure of my binder just how I like it. But for our purposes, let's just close up a few things here. I'm going to zoom in here real quick. I'm going to close some of these things up here. You see how there's just a lot going on here? I want to change that. I'm going to take my characters, I'm going to stick it in research. I'm going to take my notes, I'm going to stick it in research. See how I can just drag and drop things where I want them? I love that. Just simple and easy to do. We're going to take our places, same thing. You might even change that. I like to call it setting. It's just something I'm more familiar with than places. Places actually probably makes more sense, but because I hear setting and writing so often, I just have gotten used to wanting to have that be setting or settings. And then we could do front matter in here. That's something I typically don't worry about until I'm ready to start exporting and compiling things out of Scrivener. And there we go. You can see right away, we've now minimized this significantly, okay? We've reduced a lot. Another thing I like to do is I like to come in here and see this sample output here. Now, this just gives you an idea of what Scrivener can export out. So this is a PDF file. It shows you a standard manuscript format, okay? You could read through it if you want to. Remember, all of this is included in the template, so you can delete it freely and always find it again by creating a new project. So I'm going to go right-click, move that to trash, and because I know I can get those again really easily, I'm actually going to go ahead and just empty my trash here. I don't typically empty my trash unless I know it's something I can recover and get again, because once I empty it, you are permanently deleting it. It says this operation cannot be undone. But we know we can go get that from the project, from a new template, and get it again, so I'm not going to worry about that at all. Okay, and there we go. We have I consider these our 4 key folders, although the template sheet isn't necessarily a fundamental folder, but it is one of my favorites. We have a manuscript folder, a research folder, template sheets, and trash, okay? So now that we've cleaned things up, how do I bring in work into Scrivener? How do I get my manuscript in here? Let's bring it in right now. You'll find it's actually really easy. We're going to go down to our Finder here. Okay. So let's go into, I have some example files here we're going to use. And we're going to bring in, let's start with our research, okay? Let's do research first. So we have images here. I have fantasy characters, romance characters, settings, you name it. Let's go ahead and go open up our research folder and start bringing things in. Now, the first advice I'm going to give you when you're bringing stuff into your Scrivener projects is you want to give things a good name. You see how these are already listed with good names? It's not just a bunch of gobbledygook or numbers thrown in there, you know. That's not useful. And a lot of times when you're downloading stuff from the internet or pulling research from different places, you'll get a lot of junk like that, right? Take your time, come here and give it a name, because it's going to save you so much time down the road when it's in your Scrivener project if you just do that simple step of giving things a name. Let's go ahead and move that to trash. Let's start with just a fantasy character here, okay? So I'll come into my research and I can pull and drag and drop it in just like that. And there we go. My image is inside of my Scrivener project now, but it isn't well organized. So the second thing I like to advise you is give your files a home. So you can call this photos, you could call this images, you could call this fantasy characters, any number of things, character arc. You come up with a good name. To be honest, where most people get hung up with Scrivener and organization is the seeking for this perfect organizational system. Don't seek for the perfect system. Just seek for simplicity. Something that works 80% of the time is more than enough. Okay. So we're going to do character art. Let's do that. Now I could then actually select all of these, just drag and drop them in like that. I could then pull in Ivo like that. And there we go. They're all in there. I can also just bring in the whole folder if I want fantasy characters like that. Now I do have a duplicate, so we'll go ahead and move that to trash. I actually like character arc better, so we're going to leave that alone like that. We might even want to rename this to character sketches like this. I'm always thinking about better ways I can keep my files organized, and then just change this to characters in general, and then just drag and drop like that. And see how my organizational structure is already starting to come together here. Okay. So there we go. We got that there. We could do settings too. Okay. Could bring that in just like that. And there's all those lovely, colorful settings I pulled off the internet, right? Have fun with that. It's really easy to bring in images. Same thing is true for video and audio. Let's just drag and drop the whole thing in here. Oops. See how when I brought it in there, it accidentally went inside my settings folder. Didn't want that. Now I have this little nifty tool right here that can push it out. If you don't know how to get that, you can right click here and click Customize Toolbar and add that tool in like so. Okay, it is just right there. Just drag and drop like that. Boom, done. And I like that tool because I can just quickly push it out like that. Now I know I did that a bit fast, so I'm going to show it again. Let's make it bigger. We're going to right click, Customize Toolbar. So to give you all these lovely tools, the one we're looking for is right here. Drag and drop. You can put it anywhere you like. Okay. I like it over here. Boom, like that. And then click done. Okay. And that allows me to easily move things around when the drag and drop just isn't as precise as I'd like it. So drag and drop or this tool right here are excellent ways to get things organized in your binder. Okay, looking good. Minimize that there. Let's pull in some PDFs. Same thing. We'll look at those in just a second. Oops, same problem. Push it out. There we go. And let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, let's just bring in some regular old documents. We're just going to drag and drop these into. Boom, brought them all in. Let's go ahead and make this big again, and let's see what we got to work with here. So we got video and audio. So the cool thing about Scrivener, it can play audio files directly in Scrivener. So maybe if you're transcribing something, you've left a note for yourself, an audio note, and you want to put that in your Scrivener project and listen to it while you're writing, you certainly can. You can even bring in video files as well and play them directly in your Scrivener project like this and have them open and available to you. Now, we will talk about splitting the editor and having this research alongside your writing in just a minute. Just bear with me. It's coming up, okay? And then we have here PDFs. Now, the thing about PDFs is that they are not like regular text files, right? They're basically images, so I can't actually edit anything, but I can copy text and paste it elsewhere in my project if I so wish to do so. It's great because you may have a lot of research files that are PDFs that you may want to bring in at some point. Text is obviously a little bit better because when you bring in text, it is editable. You can add and make changes to it. You can see here we brought in a bunch of text files, hero template, world detail. It is easy to bring this stuff so you can have your research directly in, and then you can actually copy, paste, edit, change, move things around, whatever you want to do inside of your Scrivener project. Now, once again, you see how I brought this in? This looks a little disorganized to me. If I took a little time and organize it now, when I just brought it in, all the better. That's a good time to start doing it. Don't just start dropping files in and then just moving on. No, take your time with it. Figure out where things go. What I usually encourage people to do is not to bring in everything at once. Try to bring in just the things that are really important to what you're working on that day. Usually I write in 20-minute segments. So I'll write for 20 minutes and I'll take a 5-minute break. So maybe what I'll do is I'll write 15 minutes and I'll spend 5 minutes doing some organization and bringing in some new files and things like that. I actually still do this to this day when working in a project and I'm bringing stuff in. I'll write for 15 to 20 minutes. I'll take a break and then I'll use some of that time to organize. And sometimes I'll take a whole session. So I just wrote for 20 minutes. Let me take the next 20 minutes and organize things around or do some world building. You name it. The thing is, it's structured and it's intentional. Okay, let's talk about bringing in a manuscript. That's the next thing. And the final thing we're going to talk about in terms of importing your writing and your research into Scrivener. So right here, we have a manuscript right there, a few sample manuscripts. There's a couple of different ways we can do this. Let's close some of this stuff up. Okay, looks good. And here's our manuscript folder. This is ideally where we want that manuscript to end up because that's what's going to be used for our final export when we're done writing our book. Okay, I'm going to open up my manuscript files here. And let us bring in, let's do the Shadows of Warren today. That's an example fantasy novel. So if I just drag and drop it in like that, boom, there it is. You can see it has 11,000 words, not super long, right? And it's got chapter 1, if you scroll down, chapter 2, etc., all the way down, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this is fine. You can see it brought it all in one document here. You can bring it up here like so, okay? And it's not broken up in this like chapter scene format. So how do I get it into that format? Well, it's going to take a little bit of work on my part. Now, if you have a longer manuscript, there is an easier and faster way we can do this. But for now, I want you to stick with me here. I do like doing it this way because it allows me to kind of get more familiar with Scrivener and work with my manuscript a little bit. So right here, I have chapter 1. I'm actually going to remove this out and just delete it. And I'm going to take the edge of the blight. And I'm actually going to copy that title there. Cut it out, actually. And we're going to paste that as the name of this file, okay? And I like to do that because in your manuscript, Scrivener doesn't require the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. You can put it in the title. I could come in here and put chapter 1. But the beauty of Scrivener is we don't have to work linearly. So it's better to just use a generic title, so that way you can feel free to change things around and you don't have to be constantly changing chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 inside your title there. Let's scroll down. There's chapter 2. Okay. So what I'm going to do, select this right here, right click, and then click this button, split with selection as title. I love this. Watch this. Boom. There we go. There's chapter 2. And I'll have to come back here and delete that, but no big deal. Okay. Come in here. Now we've got Into the Wilds. I can delete this too, right? And it's actually a little bit easier from here on out because I scroll down again. I can read through my manuscript. Maybe I can delete this chapter 3, right? I can then split this too. Split with selection as title. Boom, just like that. And on I can go doing that. And if I want to, I can even go a step further and come here and create a folder. And maybe instead of having the edge of the blight be the name, I'll put that as the folder name. I'll stick the file inside, and then I'll come up with a scene name. So in this case, I like to use very descriptive names for my scene. You could just put scene 1 like this, right? But remember, if I have a second scene here, let's say scene 2, and I decide, oh, actually, I want scene 1 to be scene 2 to be scene 1 or something like that, right? I'll have to come here and make that change every time. So it's better to use a very descriptive sentence. For today's example, I'm just going to pull the first sentence at the top of the scene. But ideally, you would write a very short sentence or statement that describes what's going on inside of the scene. So when you're looking at your binder here, you know what's going on, okay? So there we go. And this would give us that nice formatting we're seeing here, what a chapter and a scene. We have a chapter name and a scene name, right? And we could then say, okay, maybe this is actually not chapter 2. Maybe this is actually chapter scene 1, scene 2. Maybe it's not, it doesn't break up into 2 different chapters there after all. Okay, we could come down here again and select it again, split with selection as title, and down we go all the way through to chapter 11, right? Now, that is kind of tedious. I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to take me some time to go through this and do this. And we're not going to do that all together, but that's how you would do it if you just dragged and dropped it in. And I do think there's merit in doing this, especially if you're brand new with Scrivener, because you're going to get familiar with how the structuring works in Scrivener's binder. Now, if you want to go a little faster than this, there is a way. Let's look at it. Quickly, we're just going to drop these inside of here like so, just to make it simple. Then we're going to actually drag and drop this to our trash because we're going to bring in the whole manuscript again. This one too, we're going to bring it down, stick it in the trash like that. And notice it's not gone, it's not lost, it's still there. So now we're going to bring in the whole manuscript, but this time we're going to do something different. We're going to click the manuscript folder. We're going to go to File, Import, Import and Split. There we go. And then we're going to find our manuscript here on our computer. I'm going to go to Manuscripts, and there's the Shadow of Warren right there. Now, you'll see when you do this that there's going to be this little pound symbol here. So what you can do is you could literally go inside your manuscript, and everywhere you want Scrivener to separate, you could put a keyword. It could be this pound symbol here. It could be a different word altogether or a different symbol, and that'll force Scrivener to split every time it encounters that symbol in your manuscript. Now, I found that since I just did the whole chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 thing, I could just put chapter in here, and it would literally just break it up chapter by chapter. Watch this. Here we go. Import. Boom. There it is. All 10 chapters. So it did chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., all the way down. So all I have to do now, theoretically, is just pull this out like this, maybe create a folder, boom, and then stick one in it like that. And then you see how much quicker that would be? I could then come in here and add a scene name, right? And boom, way faster. I can get through this a lot quicker. So that's one way we can handle it. And it's actually perfectly acceptable to have a single document as a chapter if you want to structure it that way. But I'll be honest, this is my favorite way to do it because I like to be able to have multiple scenes in a chapter. And that's how you would accomplish that with a folder, chapter folder, and then scenes that are stored inside of it. So if I came down here, maybe right about here, this is a new scene. I'm going to select it, right click, split with selection as title, and boom, there I have a new scene. On and on we go. So that's importing into your Scrivener project. That's how we create our first project, get our writing in, and get to work. Let's switch back to the presentation and see what is next. Okay, so with our project now imported into our new Scrivener project, we're ready to really dig in to the most fundamental tools in Scrivener. The binder is literally the backbone of your project. It's where you create your project structure. So it's worth taking time to learn how the binder works, how to create those documents, folders, how to organize them and move them around. And we kind of looked at some of that, but it's located in the left-hand column of the main window. It offers a comprehensive overview of all the items in your project. And you're going to see that there are 3 indispensable folders in every project that cannot be deleted. That's that draft or manuscript folder, the research folder, and the trash folder. Now, the main editor is the next core tool in Scrivener we're going to look at. It's where the magic happens. It's where writers can write, edit, and format their text with ease. It's located in that middle column in the center of Scrivener, and it offers a flexible writing experience with various formatting options. And the last tool we are going to look at today is the compiler. It is, in fact, one of the most powerful features in Scrivener. It's the gateway to taking your manuscript from Scrivener and transforming it into a format ready for final formatting, sharing, and even publication if you're so inclined. Now, whether that's a PDF, an EPUB, a Word document, the compiler makes this all possible. Now, at first glance, I know it might feel a bit overwhelming, but trust me, it's actually a lot easier than it looks. You don't have to know everything about the compiler to use it effectively. In fact, I use only a fraction of its capability, and it really is designed to give you complete control while saving you time and effort. Let's talk binder. We have our manuscript folder, or draft folder as it's sometimes called, our research folder, where we keep our research, our template sheets, and our trash. Now, to be honest, you can create multiple folders right down here at the bottom. There it is. And we can click that button right there. So they don't have to be stored in the research folder. Maybe there are certain folders that you are using more often you'd like to have visible to you. But personally, if it's not related to the manuscript, I like to keep it all there in my research folder because I know where to look. I know where to go to find it. I know it's not going to be cluttering up anywhere else in my project. If it's research, it's going to be there. but Scrivener does give you the option. You can create folders just about anywhere and have information there. Even in the trash. I like to rename my trash folder. I like to call it scraps because I rarely actually delete anything unless it's something like this untitled document that I know I can recreate anytime, right? Just delete that. Don't need it. But maybe I want to have these fantasy characters there. Maybe that's research, right? Just so you can actually even take some time organizing my scraps folder, deleted chapters, scenes, right? And have that available to me. So it's a little bit easier to use. So if I'm looking for something I deleted, I often do this. If there's something I don't want in my manuscript, I'll throw it in my scraps folder and it'll stay there and it won't get deleted. The only way it gets deleted is if I right click this and click empty trash. And then even then it'll say, are you sure you want to do that? And I'll say, no, I don't want to do that because I don't want to. I don't have to. But I can come in here and delete files individually as well, which is what I really like. If I don't need that thing, I can easily just delete it. It'll let me know it can't be undone. Click delete and it's gone. So don't be afraid of your scrap folders. If you're really afraid of the trash, you can create a dedicated scrap folder like this. Just folder and call it scraps. That's perfectly acceptable. But personally, I just like using that trash folder because that's really what it's designed for. There we go. Okay. Now, as far as creating documents, you can come up here. Wherever you have selected, that's where the document or folder will go. We can click the plus button right here to add a document. This plus button right here to add a folder. You can even access a contextual menu here that allows you to click add new text, new folder, new from template if you have a templates folder, okay? You can also come up here. There's this button in the toolbar that allows you to come here and add a new text document. It allows you to come in here and add a new folder. If you have a folder selected, it's going to put those things in the folder. But if you get it in the wrong place, don't worry. You can always pop it out and move it down and get it where it needs to go, okay? Even move that up. Oops, let's move it down and in. Like that, okay? So you can kind of mess around with that and get familiar with what Scrivener can do. We can even right-click anywhere and click Add, New Text, New Folder, New from Template, okay? Let's just start right-click, Add, New Text, New Folder. And that's how we would add and bring things into our binder, new documents and things like that. We've already seen dragging and dropping, but that's the binder in a nutshell. Don't overcomplicate it, but also make sure you spend plenty of time here as well. You want to get familiar with your binder. You want to keep things organized and clean. Otherwise, it will get cluttered and it will make things more challenging for you down the road. It's worth taking the time to, at the end, either at the end or beginning of each writing session, to just clean it up a little bit, get familiar with it, and use it. So the main editor, you may see right now, this is the Corkboard view, but the main editor typically will pop up anytime you have a document or multiple documents selected like this. If it switches to Corkboard, don't worry. You can go to this button right here and change that back into the editor view, okay? Or you can go to view Scrivenings. It might say view document if you only have one document selected, and you can view those as a single fluid document like so, okay? It'll show this little line separating the two documents right there. But for most of you, you just click this document here. If you go to view, you'll see view document, and there we go. We're here. We can now get started and get writing and get editing and changing. So the main editor is very robust and powerful in what it can do. There are several tools available to us here. We're going to keep it really simple today, though. You can see right here we have access to the title. I can change the title to be whatever I want it to be. Let's just grab this line right here. Copy. Right-click. Paste, right? Okay, so we can change titles just like that. In the bottom left corner, I have my zoom. So rather than coming here and selecting this text and maybe making it bigger, not ideal, right? Don't want to do that unless you have a specific reason for making other text larger stylistically for the narrative. I typically avoid that. Let's go ahead and go to edit, undo. The best thing to do if you want to zoom in, if maybe it's not close enough for you, you can come in here and click this button. We can zoom into 300%, zoom in here to 600%. We could zoom out to 50%, whatever makes sense for you. And I think 50% is too much for anyone. I found I really like the 200%. Once you set that, if you go anywhere in your project, it's going to default to that, whatever you switched it to. But if you want to make sure it's permanent across all your projects, let me show you real quick how to do that. We'll go to Scrivener, Settings. We're going to go to Editing. And there it is, default text zoom. I have it set to 200%. You just choose whatever you want it to be. And then each new project from here on out, when you create it, it'll just default to that 200% or whatever percent you set it to. I just like 200%. It seems to be just big enough, but not too big, but not too small for my eyes. So do what works for you. And the last thing I want to talk about the editor is splitting it. How do I split the editor so I can view my research, other chapters, whatever you name it in Scrivener? How do I do that? So the good news is it's really easy to do. Right here, top right corner, let me zoom in there. You can see that is where we toggle our split. Okay. I click that button right there, and boom, it splits it. And what it does first off is it duplicates the one I'm in. And now you can see which one is active by clicking inside the color here. This purple color indicates that that is the active editor that I am currently editing. So what I'll do is I'll right click the icon and I'll lock one of these in place. Just remember, when you lock it in place, if you click in the binder, it's not going to change. It's going to stay what it is. So if you ever get like, why isn't my editor changing? It could be because you've locked it. So just be aware of that. So you see it actually changes this gray color with this purple line now. So I can kind of keep track of that. That is in fact locked. It even has a little padlock right there. So now I can click inside this one, or even in this one, it doesn't really matter. And I can select any other file or folder I so wish. I can go to my research folders here. I can go to my characters, my character art. There's my character. I can look at Ned here. I can look at Nira here, like so. I can go to my character sketches if I have any. I don't have any. Let's hit return. Boom, there's a character sketch there now. I can look at this character. I can fill it out as maybe if I've already written this draft, right? I can pull out, let's say, Kaya here and say, okay, this is Kaya's character sheet. Oops, let's go edit, paste and match style. So we get that style. Kaya, I'm just going to call her Doran because I see Doran down there next to it. And then I could, her age is like 15 and her location is we'll call it the Blight. Oh, and you could go through and fill this information out. When you're pasting stuff in there, be mindful of your formatting there. I use the paste and match style quite a bit. And you could go through and fill out her role, her goal. You could modify this whole thing and make it your own. But basically, that's the idea. We have it here available to us. I can even pull up that audio file or that video file and have it right side by side. And this is the power of Scrivener, the ability to have your research organized and available to find, and then add it alongside your writing and then get to work. Just get writing, get started, get moving, get rolling. So that's that. That's splitting the editor. Now, if I want to get out of the editor split, I can just click the editor I want to keep open. So if I want to keep this editor open, I'll click this one here. Boom. That's the one that will stay open. Notice it is still locked. So if I click anything else, what happens? Nothing. So I have to come right click and unlock. And another cool thing is if I hold down my Option key, I can toggle between a horizontal view or a vertical view. That's kind of a cool thing. Now, it's worth noting that if you have a hard time remembering keyboard shortcuts and things like that, or even maybe this button is hard to see, you don't remember it or whatever, you can actually go to the help menu here and just type in editor split, and it'll give you the option to split from no split, split horizontally, or split vertically. Okay, so you can use that in the top menu as well, whatever makes sense for you. So there we go. That is the main editor. The last thing we're going to look at today is the compiler. Now, we haven't quite made this a compilable manuscript yet. The formatting is a little off, so maybe let me see if I can clean this up real quick. We're going to move this to trash, and then we're actually going to put these in folders. We're just going to let's see if we can pull these out real quick and just make these folders real fast. Copy, boom. Folder. Bear with me, guys. I just want us to have something nice to compile on. You do need to take this time to get your formatting right and your structure right, because if you don't have proper structure, you're going to have problems when you compile out. That's probably one of the bigger mistakes I see people make when it comes to compiling in Scrivener. So usually the problem starts with a structural issue in your binder here. Okay, there we go. Let's do that. Okay, then we're going to drop these in like this. All right. And I'm not going to worry that I got some of these in the wrong place. We're just going to delete some stuff out of here. That's the next thing I got to look at, is just coming through and deleting all this extra stuff. Otherwise, we're going to end up with duplicates, headings, and things like that. And we don't want that. Boom. Because Scrivener's compiler can handle a lot of the headings and things for you. That's one thing I really like, is I don't have to be thinking about this. I can just focus on the writing, put my titles here. You don't have to have titles You can omit them when you are compiling. There's a lot of cool things you can do there. But for our purposes, we're going to keep this really simple. So let's do this and just boom, like that. Just grab some text here. Ideally, it would look something like this. Okay, boom. Looking good. And see how this is a lot faster, I think, than the first method. I can quickly go through and make these changes. And it doesn't take too long at all. I think maybe like a couple minutes here. Of course, if you want better names for your scene titles, you're going to want to spend more time on them. Okay, there we go. Woohoo! See that? Look at that. Beautiful structure now. Okay. And you can assume the order that these are in, that's the order that Scrivener is going to assume the chapters are. So we have like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, etc., all the way down here. Okay. So what we're going to do is there's two ways to get access to our compiler. Okay. The first way is to go and click this compile button right here. Okay. So you can see that compile button right there in your toolbar. If for any reason you can't find it, go to File, Compile, and this window will pop up right here. Okay. Now I know this looks like a lot. Don't freak out. It's okay. We got this. So the main thing we want to look at is first, what are we compiling for? Are we doing a print? Are we doing PDF, rich text file, Microsoft Word document, final draft, EPUB or something? Now, I imagine most of you are probably going to be doing some kind of Microsoft Word document, okay? Because let's be honest, that's what a lot of people do. Even the industry experts and things like that, a lot of them still use Microsoft Word. It's just that standard for business writing. So we're going to select that option there. We're going to look at our section layout. This just kind of tells us what the structure of our book is going to look like. So we have a chapter 1. If I click this here, it says chapter heading. You can see, okay, all those folders, those are all chapter headings. That's looking good. That means I got that structure right. If it's highlighted, that means the chapter heading is going to come off this chapter 1, and the scenes are going to look like this. There's going to be no title included, so watch that. There's no title included. We'll look at how to add that in just a second. There's going to be scenes, and they're going to be like this. There'll be no indentation and indentations, and every time there's a new scene, like right here in the beginning, there's going to be a pound symbol there, Okay, and formatting. Okay, now we've selected the Manuscript Times formatting right here. Okay, but there are a number of different formattings available to you, or if you want, you can use the Vellum export if you plan on exporting out to, say, an app like Vellum. Okay, so let's do it. We're going to go ahead and click that right there. We have a title page here. We could include the title page. If you don't want to include the title page, it's just pulling from the front matter in our research. I'm actually going to uncheck that for now. We're going to keep it out, and we're just going to have our chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 like that. It's a Microsoft Word document. So let's compile it out and see what happens. Okay, Project Hail Mary. You can give it a new name, whatever you'd like here. We'll look at changing titles in just a second. Export. Okay, that didn't take very long. Perfect. And there it is. Our Microsoft Word document. There we go. Yeah. So kind of what you would expect for a manuscript to be shared with somebody here. And of course, you could click inside here and change those. Okay. And there we go. We got a nice little manuscript coming out just like that. Now, let's don't save. Let's move this to trash because I don't like overwriting things. We'll go back to Scrivener. Let's go back to our compile menu here, and let's make some changes. So first off, we want to have the chapter titles included when we export that. How do we do that? So we click here in the chapter heading. We're going to click this button right here called Assign Section Layouts. Now this one's a little bit tricky, but hang with me. Chapter heading right there. I'm going to scroll down there. There it is. Okay, chapter 1, section title. That's the one we want. Okay. And now my chapter headings are going to not only have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, but they're also going to include the title of my chapter folder here. Okay. So we compile that out. That'll be good. Another cool thing we can do, we can actually remove chapters here. Let's say I'm still working on these chapters. I'm not ready for them to come out. I can actually just check them off and they will not be exported out. Okay. Maybe even this scene right here. I want to remove that scene. I can remove that scene out of there. No problem. Another thing we can do is come in here to the metadata section and change the title. Remember how we use Project Hail Mary in this case, and that's not our final title. We want to come up with a better title. You can come in here and say, this is the shadow of Win. We'll say Win, just like that. Maybe we changed it. And then we just do an abbreviated title of TSW, like so. Okay, you don't have to have an abbreviated title. You can. You'd even put in the authors here. So I'm going to put Evanson. Let's just do Oliver Evanson, okay? And then we will click Compile. Okay, we can give it a new name. I'm going to call it TSW this time. And we're going to click Export. Give that a second. There it goes. It's done. And there we go. See how we got that? Oh, the edge of the blight is there. Now, chapter 1. Scroll down. Still have that pound symbol to show the break between. And scrolling down. Keep going. Keep going. Here it is, chapter 2. You see, and on we could go all the way down. And all that came out just perfectly, just how we want. So we took a relatively poor formatted manuscript and made it into a beautiful manuscript that we could now freely share with an editor or a friend or whoever needs to look at it. And it doesn't have to be Microsoft Word. You can, of course, click the compile button. You can change that to print it out. You can do a PDF file. You can do an open office if they're using open office, plain text, web page, final draft, fountain screenplay, you name it. There's a bunch of options here. Just choose the one that works for you, click compile, and you're good to go. So let me go ahead and switch back to the presentation, and we will wrap up with a few more slides and jump into our Q&A. So let's open the floor for any questions you may have. I'm happy to address any concerns or confusion regarding Scrivener and its features, as well as provide any tips and advice for using it effectively for your writing. So don't be shy. Ask away. And you can see right there, those are our emails. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us directly right there. So Allison was asking, is that a Word document? Yes. The files I brought into Scrivener, those were Microsoft Word documents. You can bring in Pages, you can bring in Word, you can bring just about any text file. You can bring those all into Scrivener. They will all come in just fine. Just drag and drop into Scrivener. PDFs do come in as regular PDF files, so they're not going to be editable. So certain file types may come in differently, but typically they all come in really well. I've even used like spreadsheets and all sorts of cool stuff bringing it into Scrivener. It's pretty cool. I don't actually edit them in Scrivener. I can actually open them up in Excel or Numbers, and it'll work just fine, and I'll save them, and they'll still be stored in my Scrivener project. I do that all the time. I love it. Okay, so I see Judith is asking about how to create your first project. So I'll do a quick once over on that, just so you guys can see that. I'm going to go share my desktop again. Let's minimize this slide here. Okay, so creating a project, when you open up Scrivener, let's just close it out here. Okay, it opens up to this new project window. You just select a project you want. Could be anything. Let's do a nonfiction this time. We'll do general nonfiction. We'll double click it. Give it a name, project nonfiction, okay? Save it somewhere you can easily find it. I recommend in a folder titled Scrivener Projects. That can be in Dropbox, that can be in Documents, wherever you want. I'm just gonna save it right there, okay? And then boom, you've got your project here ready to go. As far as chapters go, I saw you were also asking about chapters. How do you define chapters? There's two ways of looking at it. Whatever you call it is what it becomes. So I have a document here. I'm calling that a chapter document. So it becomes a chapter, right? If I call it a scene, it becomes a scene. If I call it a section, it becomes a section. It's actually why I like to use very descriptive names rather than these kind of generic names, because I can really clearly and specifically define what this section is in my manuscript. And I can just infer based on how it's structured in my binder here, that is a section or that is a scene or whatever the case may be. But typically what you'll see me doing is I'll create a folder. It'll have a chapter. It'll be a chapter. And then inside that folder, I'll create sections or scenes, depending on if I'm writing a novel or doing something nonfiction related. And then once I've got some structure set up, I'll change those names to more descriptive names as the project goes on. So Ben is asking here, are all the different chapters in your editor different documents? That's a good question. So yes, we can see here, the beauty of Scrivener is we can break things down into smaller chunks. Let's open up the project Hail Mary here again, right? I think that has a little bit more to go off of. So we can see here, these are all different documents. What we're doing is in Scrivener is we're actually making a bunch of, like, you can think of it like a bunch of little Microsoft Word documents, right? A bunch of little text files, right? And we're then just able to move them wherever they want. We can bring them up, down, we can store them anyhow we like, and so they become their own individual thing. But the beauty of Scrivener is I can bring it all together, right? So if I click in this Shadows of Mist, I go to View, Scrivenings, like this, I can see those two documents as one fluid document. And even for my whole manuscript folder, I can click it again. See, I'm still in View, Scrivenings. I can view the entire 10,588 words as one single manuscript, like I did in Microsoft Word. But I don't have to view it that way. In Word, I'm stuck with that view. In Scrivener, yes, I have multiple documents, multiple scenes, multiple chapters. I can break up this large problem that is a novel into really small and manageable chunks. Anyway. Okay, so I saw Ben's asking about outlining tools for nonfiction. On Thursday, I'll be digging a little bit deeper into specific tools that are available in Scrivener that work really well for nonfiction writers. But ultimately, if you want really specific and you want to go a little bit deeper than we went today, check out Thursday's webinar, and we're going to dig deeper into nonfiction use for Scrivener. So Ben's saying here, with title chapters, it seems cleaner to use a simple number for the designated chapter. So I'm actually going to respectfully disagree with you, Ben, because look what happens if I add in chapter numbering here. But let's say I went here and I said chapter 1, chapter 2, right? And I could even come here and add in, let's do chapter 3. But as I'm moving things around, let's say I even had here scene 1, scene 2, right? S1. S2, it gets really tedious to change that information all the time. Look at this. So let's say I bring down S2 here. It's now in chapter 2, right? S2, but now chapter 2 has become chapter 1, and now I have to come in here and change this to 1, and I have to come in here. I'm like, oh, that's actually S1 now, and this is S2. No, for me, I will spend way too much time changing titles of names and things. To me, it's just too tedious. If you want to do it, Scrivener does allow you to do it. But I found that the best way to handle it is really just give very descriptive names. That way you preserve flexibility here. That's the whole goal here. We want to preserve Scrivener's flexibility so we can move it around. You might start out doing that, maybe to feel more comfortable so you can see the structure better. Maybe once you get more familiar with Scrivener, you start to phase that out. But I would encourage you just to start it from the get-go, because that desire to organize that way, it creates a lot of inflexibility in your manuscript, and it actually makes Scrivener more difficult to use, in my opinion. But you do what makes sense for you. I see Zena is asking how to delete projects. So if you want to delete a whole entire project, okay, I'll show you right now. Here's my Scrivener project here. There's project nonfiction. I'm going to right-click it, move to trash, and boom, it's deleted. I can actually right-click that empty trash and it'll be gone. Now, if you want to delete things within your project, of course, you right-click, move to trash. And once again, it's not gone forever. It's still there. You can organize and keep those scraps organized. I encourage you to do that. It's a good idea. Delete. Okay, so someone's asking, one of the biggest issues I have is utilizing photos for technical reports. Is there an easy way to incorporate these more easily? So are you referring to like having photos inside of your text or in the project itself? I didn't show it in the text. You can actually put photos in text. Let's look at that real quick. I'm going to pull up. Let's see if I just pull it from my research here. Just drag and drop it and put it inside. And I can actually scale that image down. Now, what you can't do is you can't take this photo right here and put it in the manuscript folder. It won't let you do that. Media files cannot be inside the manuscript folder because they can't be compiled out and exported with the manuscript. What you can do here is you can move this around, right? And bear in mind, Scrivener is not a desktop publishing tool. So you're going to only get text like above and below the image. You're not going to get anything really fancy as far as like working around an image and things like that. If you're looking for something like that, we'd recommend you write your manuscript, maybe even include your images in there and then export it out, put it in a desktop publishing software where you could then do that stylistic formatting and things like that. So someone's asking, how can one bring in notes, scraps of text from other apps, devices, such as an electronic notepad? Thanks. So it really is going to depend, Rick, on the type of device you're bringing it from. When you're bringing things into Scrivener, you just need to have a format that Scrivener accepts. So either the most common, obviously, is the Microsoft Word document. That's what a lot of people are using. But any sort of digital text file or image, movie, video, audio file can be brought into Scrivener. In fact, there's very little that can't be brought into a Scrivener project. And we do often update the app, right? So sometimes new options and new abilities in terms of bringing things in can appear. Like, for example, Pages. If you're familiar with Apple Pages, for a long time, when you brought in an Apple Pages file, it would just turn it into a PDF. Now, you could easily get around that where you're in Pages, you could just export as a Microsoft Word document or a rich text file. Let's just open this ABCs thing I have here. I could have just gone to File, and then export to, and then just chosen Word or rich text or plain text. They'll be easily importable into Scrivener. But recently we made it possible where you can just bring it directly into your project and it just converts it into a text file for you. No need. It used to be a PDF, but now it changed. So you'll see things like that all the time. I wish I could say there's like, oh, there's this one best method to bring everything in, but really, I mean, there is. I guess it's just drag and drop. I get it onto your computer, drag and drop it in, and you're ready to go. You can sometimes share, if you're on like a phone or something, if you have Scrivener on your phone, you can sometimes share them directly to your Scrivener project. I've still found the easiest way is to just get the file onto my computer and just drag and drop it in. So Zin is asking, is there a best way to write a manuscript in Word and then move it to Scrivener? I'm assuming you're meaning, if you're drafting in Word and then you're out and then you're like editing and working in Scrivener, I would encourage you just to write it in Scrivener from the get-go. But what you do, the easiest way is just like I showed earlier, drag and drop it in, and you can have it all there and then break it up, or use that file, import, and split. That's probably the easiest way to bring it into Scrivener, and then splitting it up and making it more usable in your Scrivener project. Okay, so I see a couple people asking about outlining and how to use like the Corkboard, how to do an outline in Scrivener. So I didn't cover that, and I purposely didn't because it's, there's so many great tools. But let's just look briefly at the Corkboard here. So I'm going to click my manuscript folder here. I'm going to go to the group mode here, and here we have our chapters, right? And so the beauty of this is I can actually move things around. So this is the Corkboard view, okay? And you can see it does change when I move those things around. If I don't want things to move around, I can come down here. There's a Freeboard Corkboard button right there. Okay. It allows me to move things around freely without making any changes to the structure of my project. And when I'm happy with what I've got, I can then commit to the new structure like so and click commit. Now it'll ask me, hey, where do I want to start at? Do I want to start at the top, left, bottom, right? I typically do top, then left to right. And it made that change in my binder for me. We have access to our titles. We click here. We can write a summary, and we're good to go. Okay. You can even double click navigating into here. It's pretty easy. We can double click the icon. It'll take us in here. You can see pre-use text if there's text inside. You can double click in that and get to work on that scene. You back up and go to somewhere else as well. So there you go. That's the Corkboard in a nutshell. Really quick and really fast, but hopefully we got you enough to get started. Of course, if you have any questions that we couldn't get to today, there were several we couldn't get to. If you're having trouble still, don't worry. We've got you covered, okay? Be sure to reach out to us on our technical support right there, Scrivener/Win, Scrivener/Mac, Scrivener/Mobile, scapaliteraturelogitech.com, and you can also reach me directly at contact@ogevanson.com, and we'll be happy to help you get the help you need. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. I appreciate you all. Keep on writing. I will see you next time. Don't forget, we're here to help. Write on.